All right. So welcome everybody. Happy Saturday. We are back again for our session 2. Like I said earlier, I hope everybody had an amazing week. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. Uh, and forgive me for looking away. I have 2 screens. So my screen that I'm talking to is over here, or that I'm looking at is over here, but you guys are over there. um, so as always, we start off with our intro slide. You have my contact information as well as Miss Duvette's contact information. Uh, Next slide. A few housekeeping tips. Make sure you rename yourself to student, then your first and last name and pronouns. Parents, guardians, also mentors and staff. Also, please do us a favor and mute your line when you are not speaking. Um, Feel free to raise your hand or ask questions in the chat, and we will check in on the chat from time to time. Also, please turn on your camera so that we can see how happy and excited you are to be here, or we can at least see your mask covered face, one of the two, right? And definitely turn on your listening ears. We want to make sure that you get all the information that's presented today, especially about the FAFSA. It's really important, especially for our seniors um, that are applying for scholarships as well as college. Um, all that all that information is important. Also, do us a favor and turn off, mute your phones, so that we don't have to hear the latest J. Cole song in the background while we're talking. All right. I'm not the only person that listens to J. Cole, am I? Drake? Nothing? Nobody.
J. Cole is hard.
All right, cool. That's okay. I don't mind being out on a ledge by myself. It's all good. Um, as for our agenda today, we already did the welcome, and now I'm going through the run of the day. So after that, I'll do the introduction of the speaker, who is, of course, Miss Mei Mei Wang, and she's going to talk about the FAFSA. I'm also going to remind you about your thank you cards, and then we'll take a brief look at our Path to Scholarships book. So make sure as we get finished with Miss Mimi's session that you have that nearby so that you can be able to look at page 101. Then we'll go through announcements as always, and we'll close. And if there are any questions or anything like that at the end, we'll have time for that. There'll also be a question and answer session for Ms. Mimi during her FAFSA presentation as well. So those are 2 different Q&As. All right. All right, so Miss Mimi, she is a tax associate with a major accounting firm that handles 300 plus regional clients, supports tax preparation for 400 plus clients with a variety of tax needs, and she assists with tax audits and tax notice services. So she's heavy into taxes, to say the least. That's a lot of taxes. I don't even like the taxes I do for myself every year. I live in a state where I don't even have to pay purchase taxes. So I'm sales tax, nope, nothing. I'm trying to avoid that like the plague. Mimi recently passed the last of 3 exams for the IRS enrolled agent licensure, which is major. That to go complement with her master's in taxation degree that she received from PSU right down the street here in 2019. She has completed tax internships at 2 downtown area CPA firms, had the opportunity to travel extensively as well as work seasonally as a virtual tax preparer, in addition to assisting CPAs with estate matters and returns, meaning tax returns, like the ones that you and I fill out. Right. And then making use of her criminal investigator skills, she worked on a financial investigation project in spring of 2019. Maybe she'll give us a little elaboration on that during her talk. That sounds interesting. as I'm a CSI and law and order kind of person too. Um, while in graduate school, she was the first recipient of the O'Rourke Tang Endowed Scholarship for a taxation student at the PSU School of Business. Her role as a college ambassador enabled her to assist with recruiting for the School of Business and garner financial aid for graduate students as well as teams with the United Negro College Fund, also called UNCF, prior to joining the Bridge to Success program as a mentor. Mei Mei is adept at completing projects and assignments under intense deadlines, which is definitely important as a tax associate. And tax audit work week of 60 to 70 hours. Woo, was a seamless transition after being a criminal investigator for many years. Her extensive experience on litigation teams of high profile criminal cases enhances her ability to defense with tax audits. Investigations involved regional, national, and international high profile cases featured in the global news. Wow. In addition to all of the above, she is still mentoring youth, formerly with UNCF and now with Bridge2Success. She also supports the Leisure Hour Junior Golf Program as a mentor. She is an active volunteer with fundraising, college foundations, nonprofit groups, and financial aid workshops and sessions for students and their families. And in her spare time, which I don't know how she has any, working 60 to 70 hours, she enjoys spending time with her partner, Peter, and her son when he is home from college. And so with that, everybody, I introduce you to our very own Miss Mei Mei Wang. And so Mimi,
Hey,
you can go ahead and share your screen.
okay. Well, good morning, everyone. So what I do hit here.
Oh,
Morning.
Okay.
Morning.
Morning. We're trying to get my screen on. Paul, you disabled. Oh, you disabled it. Where'd I go from here?
Oh, did
I'll
I
have
miss it?
Peter step in.
Paul, can you enable the screen share?
Ah, yes, I can. I'm sorry. Let's try that now.
That's working.
All right. Sorry about that.
No worries.
It keeps changing my settings on me depending on which computer I log into. It's terrible.
It's okay. That's why I had, thanks, Peter. That's why I had Peter here because I'm like, I'm gonna need tech help. So that was students just as background. Paul asked for a bio and a photo, and I gave him 5 bullet points. So thank you for listening to all that. I do like taxes, and it was pretty interesting to switch from criminal investigations to taxes, but it's because of Miss Debbie, Paul, the Leisure Hour Golf Program, and UNCF in here that I was able to get scholarships, finish my master's with most of my tuition paid, and also help my son get scholarships. He got a full ride academic scholarship offered to U of O and a couple other schools, and it's going to Gonzaga, which is in Washington, and on a half academic scholarship. So what I'm saying is it works. And I learned so much. And part of my calling in life is social justice. And I realized you can't have social justice. You can't help others until they get to where they want to be and achieve what they want to do. And as you know, college is the road to help many. It's not the only road, but money to pay for it, especially now colleges are so expensive, even public universities, that I just figured, and Miss Debbie and Paul and Yvette and Angie and Brian were all supportive of trying to put together something so that students know that this is one of the biggest blocks. So when I first did this presentation a few years ago, I was horrified to find that how many students don't get to go to college just because of this one application. So FAFSA is the federal government or US government, and they sponsor this website. And it's not actually kind of mandated by law. FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. And the reason I show you a picture of this island is with some ice flows and icebergs. I was a marine biology major at Berkeley. Is basically you cannot get off the island and go anywhere without FAFSA when you go to college. Even if you don't need money, even your parents have enough money to cover you, and let's say you want a scholarship or you want an internship or grant, they're now making it FAFSA required. And that's because they want to prove that you have a social security number, your date of birth, you are who you are. So there's a lot of implications with federal Homeland Security and other laws that I won't get into, but that's kind of like how the schools and the federal government and other even private colleges, get to verify who you are, since there's so many requirements given all the events the past 20 years, starting with 9/11. I'm showing you this. Please take a number in this, because some of you people under 30 don't know what it's like to stand in line and pull out a tab, or maybe you do when you go to the DMV and you take a number and you wait for your turn. So what I learned through this whole process is FAFSA, when you submit the application online and you complete it, and you complete it as the student applicant, and your parents or your guardian or whoever's been supporting you, and if you're foster child or independent, then we could talk later. I'm happy to talk about that. It's a little different. But once you complete it, the system date and time stamp you. So that's why Miss Debbie, Paul, everyone, we harp on this. Get going October 1st, ideally finish it on October 1st, 2nd, 5th, but try to finish everything. You and your parents, I'm just going to use the generic term parent, to complete it, because you will get date and time stamped. And why that's important is every university, private, even places like Harvard and Stanford, which, they have a massive amount of wealth, they will use that, and the system will then give you, ranking is the wrong word, but let's say at PSU, they have $1 million of Pell Grant to give out. The system just automatically signs that kind of money to the order that your FAFSA is in. It's really that harsh of a reality. So when you hear deadlines like, you don't need to complete your FAFSA, the last day to complete is June 20th, 2022 for next fall of 2022. You just need to know that really, you kind of just close up a lot of opportunities, because most places, the money for Pell Grants, for some scholarships and low interest student loans and work study, and for other fellowships, that's probably already given out. And that's why people who get this process going late are pretty much in a hole, and they probably should just wait till next year. Just a little background. So I just want to emphasize it's hard when we're in America, even with the pandemic, to realize what wealth we have and why it's important to get to college. I'm not saying making money is the end all, but I think it's important to appreciate where we are and you have this opportunity. So there's this Peace Corps worker who started these studies, and it's now called the 100 in a village, or the websites, I could give it to you, but just looking at, like, if the world, if you just took 100 people, what would it be? So a few years ago when I did this, if you think of a village of 100 people, 6 people would have 59% of the world wealth. They say all 6 of the United States. 2% of the world, 20 people out of the 100 are in poverty, and they only own 2% of the world wealth. And that's why it's really important to appreciate that in the United States, you have a lot of opportunity, and you have to go through some hurdles, and to not miss those opportunities and take advantage of that. I would found it interesting also that we need to remember in a village of 100 people of this world, 70 of those 100 are non-white, 30 are white. In the United States, 20% of families. Now this statistic is recent. I just pulled this out, and this came out about a year ago. Our households are really, a lot of it are run by one parent, and then we have that highest rate in the world. So I want to acknowledge people, and most of us, come from situations where it's a primary single parent. It is harder, it is difficult, and it's unfortunately pretty common in the United States. Shifting back to college, originally, when I pulled this up a few years ago, if the world were a village of 100 people, only one person in that village would have a college education. So that's 21 years ago. And now it's better, thankfully. And when they say college education in the study, they don't mean just 4-year bachelor's degree. They mean like graduating with a degree from a technical or vocational school or community college. So that's still pretty amazing, whether you have 7 or 1. I thought this was interesting that 6 people in the village of 100 speak Spanish, and only 5 speak English. So we're definitely in the minority, so to speak. And that's the website if you want to take a look at that. So now shifting to FAFSA. So that's the website. I'm sorry I didn't post a live link, but you could type that in, you could Google, and it's free applicant for federal student aid. And the most important thing, the reason I have a star here is you want to see that part. You want to see the suffix or the .gov. That means government, federal government. And so that goes to there. If you just Google it, you're going to get like maybe 12 or 13 different websites. They're going to take you there. They're going to mimic things called like federal student aid or locally similar student aid. Thank you. And then eventually they want like your social security number and all that stuff, and you think you're doing the real thing, but really you're in a private business, and they're going to try to sell you something, or they're going to charge you a fee to complete the application. So not only do you have to pay a fee, you're kind of scammed. They have your social security number and financial number, and then you don't know if your application is really going to the schools where you want to go. So when you fill the FAFSA, you put all this information in, and I forgot to email Paul a checklist, but we'll get you a checklist. And then you pick 10 schools, and they submit your application to 10 schools, and we'll give you tips a little bit about that. But please look for, so if you Google anything, do type in free federal student application or finance application, but type in the word free on your search if you forget to use this website. And sometimes a screen will share, so the screen may look like this when you get it. It might look a little different, but it's important to see like federal student aid and FAFSA, and of course the .gov.
We have a hand raised.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm a junior. Am I supposed to do it yet, or do I have to do it next year?
Do it next year.
Okay.
But you could get ready for next year, and I could go to the end how you and your parents or your guardian can get ready for next year, and that will become like in spring. But thank you for asking.
Okay. Thank you.
Just a quick question. Another mentor, Wade Nkrumah, he'll be taking down your emails and phone numbers or names, because I might be missing it in questions that come up in the chat. So Caitlin, thank you. And thank you, Ms. Debbie, for hollering out. So how colleges calculate your financial aid, and this is the website, Napkin Finance is great. They take the cost of attendance, and I'm highlighted tuition because that's number one, minus your family contribution. A lot of times it comes down to this. And the sad thing in a FAFSA, even if you don't live with your parents, even if you move out, even in your foster care, sometimes they'll still require this. And then I could talk to you privately how we could handle that, but we'll just speak generically. And they come up with this calculation called EFC. So you'll get a report saying this is your EFC. It's called expected family contribution. So based on the assets and finances, they'll say your EFC is 2,000. So that's saying your family and you have to come up with a minimum of 2,000. And then the grants and the need-based scholarships and stuff like that is determined from that. So let's say if your EFC is 0, which is ideal, but then you're then qualify. Those are the best things to get. And we'll talk a little bit at the end how student loans are important. I have a bunch of student loans, but they could really burden you, and we'll go through some pitfalls there, and we can do another conversation or breakout session, but let's get through the FAFSA first. So yeah, so when you do your FAFSA, they'll eventually generate an EFC, and then every university has their own EFCs, what they expect. So FAFSA determines one set, and the other university may be like, no, I think where your EFC is higher, I think your EFC is lower. So it's not a fix, it's just kind of ballpark idea where you, and it's not fair sometimes. Sometimes they'll be like, oh no, your family's got to come up with, your EFC is 12,000, your family, we've determined your family to come up with 12,000. So there's ways to mitigate that, and we could talk about that at the end. So the reason I write about the golden touch is we've seen the Olympics, and I'm always impressed, and maybe you watch the swimming and other events where basically the person who touches the wall, it could be just like they're only a half an inch ahead of the other person, gets the gold medal. And that's in parlance in the business world, you know, some people they have the golden touch where they could make the money, bring the clients in, you know, close the deals. I think I see FAFSA as a part of a golden touch, getting it done. And that opens a world for you. So you need to stay on your parents or guardian or grandparents. You need to meet all the deadlines. And so October 1st and finishing up is one of the deadlines. And then there's a series of couple other deadlines. We'll talk in just a bit. And just remember, you're worth it. It's a hassle. All that bureaucracy is tedious. I work in taxes. That's tedious. And just go through hurdling. And what you learn at FAFSA getting through, it's going to help you for everything else in life, because bureaucracy, even online, does not end. And then don't be a statistics. And what I mean, don't be a statistics. When I originally did this presentation a few years ago, I was horrified to see that I was so naive about how financial aid works and how the system works nationwide. And Harvard and a bunch of other Department of Education and foundations have done studies of it. And here's an example. This slide is a few years old, but it's a good slide. Let's say we have 10 million students apply for FAFSA. FAFSA has identified 1.8 million of those students as being coming from low income or moderate income families where they qualify for the Pell Grant. The Pell Grant is named after Senator Craig Pell, I think Delaware. He passed, but he wanted more help to students and to give the grant. So that grant for undergraduates, only for undergraduates, it's I think up to $6,900 per year. And to qualify, you had to have the FAFSA and have a low EFC. And the sad thing is that 1.8 million low-income students identified in the study that can qualify for FAFSA and a bunch of other grants and scholarships. Only about less than 550,000 complete all the steps in the application. So they call it the leaky FAFSA pipeline. And I'm not going to go through all this, but it's just basically, did you complete it? Did your parent, guardian, grandparent complete it? Did you answer the college financial aid emails? Sometimes they just want to email, and the email could be simple. Has your financial situation changed? Update us. So maybe your financial situation has changed. Maybe your parent has lost a job. Maybe someone got a divorce. Things do change. Maybe your family has incurred a lot of medical bills, or you have a sibling that's really sick and so they can't help you. Even if it's only 1,000 or 2,000, they still can't help you. So those are the kind of things. I highlighted this. It said 180,000 out of 1.8 million, or 25% of those who are awarded the Pell Grant will experience summer melt. So we have the leaky FAFSA pipeline where you don't finish everything, and we're down to here. And then we have what's called summer melt. And again, I was horrified to see that this is such a national problem, and then I didn't know about it, and I'm embarrassed I didn't know about it. And that's when the impetus we're doing we're devoting a whole workshop to this. So the summer melt problem is you've gotten to college, you maybe even been awarded scholarships, you got your housing ready, you picked your dorm mate, you're excited, you're ready to go, but you didn't finish your FAFSA. And then you'd be surprised, just because you start college, there's a lot of money ahead of time. You got to put a deposit down for your dorms. You probably have to buy your books ahead of time, et cetera, et cetera. They also probably want some of your fees paid ahead of time. And we're not talking a lot. Like PSU to start the process is maybe we're talking like $700, $800 as a graduate student. But $700, $800 is still $700, $800. And I was living in my condo downtown, but imagine if I lived in dorms, they want that deposit ahead of time. So you got to come up with money ahead of time, but your financial aid doesn't kick in till like a week before school starts, or sometimes even the day of school starts, they release it, and that's due to federal regulations. It's not really the school's situation. Or sometimes what they'll do is they'll hold that money for you, knowing that as soon as school starts, they'll deposit the money so you don't have to kick out the money. But you got to finish your FAFSA. But sometimes there's a lot of universities, they don't care. They're like, you got to put the money down and put that deposit. So the summer melt is somehow in the summer, you're that student who got into the college you want. Pick out, let's say, the dorm you want to live in. You're ready to go. Everything lines up, but things are not done over the summer. And then now you're stuck and you can't go. And one of the things is FAFSA verification, the award letter review, that's your financial aid. You got to say, yes, you accept it, which ones you accept. And that's, comes next spring. And then if you, let's say you need a student loan, you got to finish up applying for the student loans. And again, all this is done online, but still you got to go online, log in and do that. And then sometimes you have to set up your tuition payment I was talking about. And it could be just where you go on a payment plan. So the day school starts, the financial aid will automatically kick in, or your scholarship will kick in, pay in. But you got to tell the university financial aid system under your account, your student account, that that's what you want. So if you don't do all that stuff, you're going to be locked out. And they're talking about like tens of thousands of students just can't go or don't go. And then there's health insurance waivers, but anyways. So next thing I want to mention is understanding yourself and gain confidence. And what does this have to do with FAFSA? A lot of times you'll be stuck in something and like, I don't want to do this. This is a waste. I can't go to college. No one in my family goes to college, or, this is stupid. None of my friends are going to college. And then I just want to emphasize you're good enough, and it's your journey. And then for me, I always felt that, and I've taught my son, is life is not necessarily by finding happiness. Life is finding your calling, what you feel like you've been put on this world for. And so I'm ignore negativity. I'm not really on social media because when I was an investigator, I was like threatened and stalked. So I just didn't want to have a social media presence. In the cases I work on, there's, as you can imagine, pretty mentally unstable people involved. but haters are going to hate. So you're going to do things and you'd be like, I can't go out tonight, or I need to do this, or I have to, go down to file my taxes with my parents so we can finish FAFSA. And they're going to say like, you're boring. This is stupid. You don't need this. And just, you have to, reach out to your mentor or your other friends or any one of us and just know that, we could get through it. FAFSA is not hard, but can be very detailed and complicated, and it's boring. It's like taxes, it's boring. And you have to practice about deflecting that negativity, because as we all know, you're going to get that through college and through life and work, and then find your calling. So of course, I put it the two people I really admire who've come through incredible odds. And Kamala Harris, our VP, her mother went to Berkeley, my alma mater, and got a PhD and raised 2 girls. And then she put themselves through law school. And we know about Barack Obama's journey as a child of a single parent in Hawaii at Punahou College, and then going on to Harvard Law and becoming our president. I put this picture of, this is my half brother. And the reason I put a picture of him, because part of finding who you are and your calling and ignoring the negativity is, this kid is a whiz. I mean, he got perfect grades, perfect SATs, perfect ACTs. He was Boy Scout scholar, on and on. Was the presidential scholar representing the state of California. So every year they pick 2 students to represent each state, and they get to meet the president and they get a special scholarship. He got a full ride to Harvard. And then he had 2 double majors in Harvard. And the reason I'm mentioning this is, I have a really smart sister who's like 2 PhDs and all this stuff. And I knew when I went to Berkeley, I immediately found out I was not very bright. I had to work super hard and they grade on curve just to get good grades. And that helped me in real life, because I just know I got to grind through and put it through. But it's just, again, going back to finding your calling. You can't compare yourself to your siblings, to other people and their successes. You just got to find what you're good at, what you enjoy, and what you're calling. And that will really get you over the hump. And when the hump is completely FAFSA. And then just a brief thing, like I had cases nationally, and they led to like Pulitzer Prizes. They led to changes in laws in Britain, Australia, laws in America and in Oregon. And these are kind of the places where they posted some of my work. And that was very rewarding to see, because my feeling was, I investigated doctors and I also did criminal investigations, but I felt that, when you see a doctor, they need to adhere to certain ethical standards.
Hey, Mimi.
Yeah.
We had a question from Jorge.
Yeah.
He was wondering, does it also take into account assets outside the US?
Is he an American resident or citizen?
Jorge, you can come off mute and.
Yeah, I'm a permanent resident.
Okay, and how about your parents? Are they're out of state? I mean, out of the country?
One of my parents is in Mexico, and the other is also a permanent resident.
Oh, in the United States?
Mhm.
Okay, let's touch base at the end, or you and I could have a private conversation, or we could just talk a little bit more at the end, because there's it's kind of like going through a maze. It's like, depends where you answer, what situations, do you go this way? Do you go this way? And so it also depends what schools you're looking at, because there's another financial aid processing service called CSS, College Scholarship Services. FAFSA is the big one you need to do. Most universities and private schools, except FAFSA, a lot of the elite private schools, the Ivy Leagues, Stanford, Duke, they only take CSS. And to get around to your question, is CSS will drill down more, like what are your foreign assets, where are your parents from, what is your house worth, what's the balance of your parents' 401k, or what's your, let's say your family has business rentals, how much is the business rental? So that's where that comes into. So that might be something that they, what your university that you choose will want the CSS instead.
Okay.
But at FAFSA, yes, you have to have a social security number or be a permanent resident. And that's one of the federal requirements. They really clamp down on that. But thankfully, other states like Oregon have created their own mini FAFSA application that can help students who are like DACA or maybe don't have that permanent residency or green card or social security number / ITIN number to then qualify for this. So when I first did this a few years ago, a lot of states didn't do that. A lot of universities didn't accept that, but thankfully that has gotten a lot better. So we could go there. And then there's a FAFSA workshop with Jefferson High School, October 1st, next Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. So that's where we drill down. My understanding is all of us are gonna be invited. You could join in. I know it's a little boring on Friday, but we'll drill down and start doing this FAFSA application. We could help that, but you and I can touch base afterwards or this weekend and take a look at that. Does that work for you?
Yeah, that works.
Wait,
Okay.
wait a minute. What's boring about free money? Oh, I've never found free money being boring. I'm just saying.
And that's why we appreciated those lunch cards that Bridge to Success. That was very wonderful. Thank you. So hopefully you guys are also taking some food in and beverage while we're going through this. I'm almost done, a couple more slides. So this is a slide from Jefferson High School. So some of you may have seen that already, but Nicole, the career services, I could use it. And so this is, first you need to create a login. So that's the website. You could start using that. And what you need for a login is you need an email, a password, your social security number, your date of birth, address, things like that. And you just create it for yourself, and then your parents go create one for themselves, parents / legal guardian, grandparents, aunt and uncle. And we could do that before October 1st, because October 1st, the application open, you log in. And we harped on this before, we're gonna harp it again. We strongly recommend creating a new email address. Professional sounding, that doesn't have to be perfect. I use it. My email address is Mimi Portland, MEI Portland @Yahoo. It's been around forever. I have a Gmail account, but we recommend Gmail because when you go to school, a lot of things are Google based. And then pick a password, not too easy, but a little bit difficult because FAFSA is going to hold your social security number and your parents' social security, be attached to your parents' social security number. And I've been the victim of identity theft and social security number theft. It's real and it's pretty horrible. The last thing I'll point out, when you create your account, please put and I'm a little dyslexic, so I know I can mess things up, but please type in your correct social security number and your correct date of birth, and same with your parents, because once you create an account, and let's say you type in the wrong social security number. So the beginning of my social security number is 567. So what happened? I hit 8 accidentally. So I did 568, which is really easy because 7 is right next to 8. It's a whole hassle to try to close that account and get FAFSA to delete that account and start all over. So we had students a couple of years ago that happened too, and it took them like 2 weeks to get through it. And that was 2 weeks pre-COVID. So the FAFSA office was open, people were in the office, people weren't working remotely. So I've heard that a lot of things, as you know, and I work with the IRS, things are just backlogged for months. So sounds tedious and something simple, but just make sure. So what I do is when you log in, sometimes there'll be an option where you hit the I icon, and the I, and you can see what password you type in. Maybe you can see what social security number you type in. Just make sure you and your parent / legal guardian just get that right, because undoing it is quite a hassle. And then this is my last slide. That's my email address. There's my cell phone number, my work. I'm really busy at work, and there's been big changes. We have office administrator that quit, so they put me in charge for a while. So if you don't hear from me in 24 hours, it's not because I'm ignoring you. You could also text me, and then I'll say, hey, I emailed you a question, then I could check. And then these are 2 other great emails, as you know, Miss Yvette and Paul, our director. And then the last thing, I should have put this disclosure or disclaimer, I should say, is a lot of times when people ask me, like parents usually will ask me these quick questions by email or phone or text, like what happens here on my FAFSA? What do I do this? I could give you best guidance advice. It's not going to be true legal or financial advice. And the reason why I'm putting that disclaimer is FAFSA takes like maybe 100 bits of information and puts it into a file and gives you some index number or identity number. And then if it turns out what your expected family contribution should be. So I just want to put the disclaimer that I could tell a person like, well, this is how the application works. You might want to say yes to this. But just knowing that I'm not sitting down with you or your parent doing the application, and I'm not a financial aid expert or a FAFSA expert. So I just give you the best information, what I've been learning from a lot of the workshops that I've gone to through college, through helping like PCC Foundation, PSU Foundation, and through here, listening to other adults and parents and other people who've come to UNCF and Leisure Hour to help out. So hopefully it doesn't really change their outcome, but just know that I'm not at the FAFSA end processing your application. So there might be some questions I can give you the best information I know. Does that make sense? That's it for my presentation. So let me just go back to this. That would be, I think Paul's going to make this PowerPoint available, maybe email to students. I also did a presentation. Can't see it, but it's a PowerPoint I did for the PSE School of Business for graduate students to get financially and scholarship. And that's a little different flavor because a lot of graduate students are already working, like how to get some money out of your employer. A lot of people have already been working, so they could pull out some money from the 401k, retirement, or pull out an equity line. So it may or may not apply to you and your family situation, but I had emailed Paul and he can make that available to you too. And then we have a checklist we'll send out to you. And it's a simple checklist, like, put your FAFSA login, put your, this, did your parents do this? Did you check? So it's good just to have a checklist so you know what you're going through. So
We
anyways.
have a few questions in the chat, I believe.
So let me go through chat. Okay. Should I scroll up or?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put my glasses. Let's see, which one should I start out with? Who can you message? Nice to meet you, Ryan. Wait, like no one likes taxes. Yeah, I agree. It's pretty tedious. I originally started saying taxes because I was studying accounting and I thought, oh, I'll be a forensic accountant. I've done some financial investigations and I realized to be a forensic accountant, you got to get a CPA, you got to work 10 years. I was done. So I just fell into taxes and I took the tax exams, mostly because I was an older student. I haven't gone to college in 30 years. So I thought, well, I need to take some exams to see if I could pass. Okay. Mom is here. Okay. Appreciate for all the parents being here. Parents could answer questions. I think this is the first question I see. Does completing FAFSA at 1 a.m. October 1st give me an advantage? So some years ago, and Miss Debbie will laugh at me, we're on the West Coast, we're 3 hours behind. And we used to do this fundraiser for Leisure Hour, and we were in a hotel, and I was gussied up, and Peter was wearing a tux. I was on his cell phone because he had a bigger and better iPhone than I did. I finished my FAFSA at like 9:30 p.m. West Coast time, because that was 12:30 in the morning East Coast time. Now FAFSA has gotten smarter. That was about 5 years ago. And so before they blocked us, and it was they opened up according to your time zone. That's it, and that's how computers are getting more. Platforms are getting more sophisticated. I went on the FAFSA website just to sign in myself because I need to do it every year for my son and he needs to do it every year. That's another thing about FAFSA. You got to reapply every year, but they'll save your information so you don't have to re-enter and everything. They'll just save who you are and stuff. And I saw on the website last week that apparently it opens up Central Time, midnight. So I guess they just picked center part of the country and that Central Time is 2 hours ahead of us. So I was thinking, wow. Does that mean people on the West Coast could start at 10:01 p.m. on October 1st? So I'm going to give that a try. I don't know what the answer is exactly when it is, but once I find out, we could, I'll let Pauline and Yvette know and they could send an email. But what I saw FAFSA last week, it's opening up midnight or 12:01 Central Time, which is 12:01 p.m. West Coast time. Okay, I'm going to scroll down another question. Okay, so I see Jorge's question about assets out of the country, and we could talk a little bit about that later. Do we have access to this slide? Yeah, Paul will make that available. Do both parents and student need to get 3 separate FAFSA or accounts? So this is where FAFSA, being the federal government, dovetails with taxes. And the great thing about technology is nowadays, if you filed your taxes and it's already filed with IRS, there's a button you could just go through and click and then do some verification information to prove that you are who you are. And then IRS will download your tax return to your FAFSA application so you don't have to go through pages of putting in how much money you made, what your deductions, on and on. So getting to the question here, FAFSA aligns with federal tax laws. So if the parents are married, then the joint parents could file, my understanding is, 1 account. If the parents are divorced, it's usually who the parent deducted the child in. That's for FAFSA. CSS, they want to see both parents, and they really drill down to all your assets and ask you a lot of really nosy questions about everything about your assets to really determine if you need financial aid. So the question is going to be if the parents are divorced or they're filing their taxes jointly, and then who deducts a kid. So there's ways people may, how can I phrase this? I'll just phrase it bluntly. There's ways that people have been kind of getting around FAFSA is let's say the parents are divorced, and then the person who deducts the child is the one who makes less money and it's on their taxes, then that person will have a better score and get financial aid. So that was the situation for me in a sense that I was in grad school. My ex, which a lot of people know here, is Steve, who's making five or six times what I was, even now working out of grad school, he still is. Good for him. And we alternated deducting. That was in our divorce. So 1 year he would get to deduct Jaden and he get a little benefit. 1 year I deduct Jaden, I get a little more benefit deducting the child because my income was much lower. So oddly, when FAFSA, you used to apply for FAFSA, I believe was like February 1st or something like that. And they changed it because they realized people need to know their financial aid situation way before they accept what college they go to. So they put on October 1st. So oddly, the way it worked, my son fell perfectly on that alternating year. So the first year he went to FAFSA was the year I deducted my taxes. So even though he got an academic scholarship, which didn't depend on financial aid and everything, he got some work study money. He got the low interest loans, and we're talking low interest, like 2%, and you don't have to pay till this 6 months after you graduate from college education, from your college degree. And so he got that, and then he got a small grant. So that benefited him. And then now we're alternating. So 1 year he'll help him, 1 year it won't. So there's a long-winded explanation, but that's how FAFSA is tied to your IRS tax returns. And just by timing, by changing it from April 1st to October 1st, the prior year to apply it, my son fell on my tax return. So that worked out well. Let's see. Have parents done this before with previous kids who went to college? Yes. If you remember your password and ID, or just go to forget my password or username ID, you should have the same profile and you'll just need to update it. And then if you filed your taxes, you could link the IRS link and they'll dump all that information, and 40% of your application is done.
Amy, I have a question. What if a student's parent or guardian, the parent is not from the US and they do not have a social security number?
Do they have what's called IRS gives out these ITIN numbers, individual taxpayer ID numbers? They could apply for that.
Oh, like the tax ID number?
Yeah, it'll be an ITIN. They could apply for that. The
Okay.
downside of that is, and I'm happy to do research and then email, is that a lot of systems are down with the IRS. The IRS gives the ITIN number now and process the application. It's now, instead of taking like 6 or 8 weeks, it's now taking like 4 to 6 months.
Whoa.
Yeah, so let me look into that and see if there's a way around it. I believe the student could start the application, and then the student can finish his or her or their part, and then it might be a situation where the student will then hopefully pick a college or university and then contact that school director and work out there. And I know a lot of universities are very accommodating about that because of such the delay.
Yeah.
But I can look into that and make sure that the ITIN is required for that parent to finish that. My last name is too long. Is it okay to read my last name? Fill in my. Okay, so that's a great question. I mean, all these questions are great. I'm sorry, some of my answers are a little long-winded and tedious. Whatever is on, if you have a passport, a green card, whatever that name is on is the name you need to use. And hopefully the FAFSA space when you put in your name will fit that, because that's what's gonna, those federal records gonna merge and then show like, oh, this person is actually here legally.
The thing is, my name is too long and the FAFSA has a character limit.
Oh, it does. So it is too long. Okay. When you shorten it, have you shortened it for anything else? Like your college applications? Driver's license? Do you have a driver's license?
No.
Maybe you could type at the end of the chat what your name, and we could talk at the end after the session ends, or I could text and talk to you personally and you could take a look at that. But it really, Have you filed taxes? Any taxes?
No.
Okay. And then your passport has your whole long name, right?
Yeah.
Okay, when you go to school, which last name do you use? The whole long thing?
Yeah, I use my whole last name.
The whole last name, okay. I'm gonna have to think about that because I don't want to say something and then it doesn't work and then they can't find you and they can't match your identity with your being here legally to that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
What about like your state ID or do you have a state ID?
No.
Okay. Yeah, you might want to get one of those.
How did so the school just accepted your whole long last name and they didn't ask for any ID, a passport? They asked for the passport and they used that your long surname, is that correct?
Yeah.
Huh. Let me look into that and think about that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, so I think someone raised their hand and I missed that.
I was gonna ask, okay, how about the green card? What name does he have on the green card? His permanent resident card.
He's
I
on.
think he stepped away.
Because the permanent resident card is the closest to the U.S. government to look at. Yes.
Oh, I barely heard you, Shola.
I was saying that the permanent resident card is one of what the government will look at.
Mhm.
So whatever name has on the permanent resident card has to have.
I think I heard you say so whatever government card he has it will have the length of the name that he needs to use. Yeah, okay.
The question is from Jalen, what year's income does it request? So this is where my son lucked out with me the year I deducted him. So let's say I complete my FAFSA October 2nd. I started October 1st, didn't finish it, came back, finished it October 2nd. So they're going to ask for your 2020 income or your parents' 2020 income because your 2020, the year 2020 last year is when we were supposed to file our tax returns this year in 2021. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Yep. Tax return, it's could be wrong. Nope, got that right. So is it better to just turn everything sooner? Absolutely. And then one of the things I learned through these workshops, and I wish I would say this, is let's say you haven't filed your parents or guardian grandparents have not did their tax returns. So people on extension, they don't have to turn their tax returns until October 15th. So you have the option of having your parent legal guardian hurry up and file it. So then you could say, whoa, we filed it and this is my financial information based on my tax return. Well, let's say there's just delays with paperwork, the accountant or CPA taxpayer is just bogged down busy and we can't file it until November 1st or even after January, because maybe you have foreign income, you're waiting for a report from the foreign income. K1 is not going to be issued till after December 31st. Now this is critical. There's an option to say that have not filed yet. This is information based on the best to my knowledge of what my financial situation is and my assets and income. And then your application will be considered complete for that date and time stamp. Now, of course, ideally you want to put things are really accurate because then your EFC, which the system generates, you want it to be really good and close to what's going to be the actual reality of your tax return. And then you must go back. They won't trigger the financial aid and universities will not give you what's called the award letter in February. That's all issued February 1st. That's why it's really important to get this done as soon as possible. And they'll ask for verification and you need to finish up the tax return. So the more delay you have, so let's say I say I can't finish my taxes till after Christmas or after January 1st. Well, and then it takes me longer. Well, in the meantime, come February 1st, 1 or 2 weeks before that, all these universities nationwide, private universities, public universities, big and small, are already turning out their offer letters. So it gets sent out February 1st. So maybe I missed my opportunity to get my son or daughter, or they missed their opportunity to get a Pell Grant. So On the one hand, you could finish your application to say, let the system know FAFSA, like, I'm gonna finish my tax later and I haven't filed it. But on the other hand, know that the longer you wait and not finish it, you might nix your chance of getting some better aid. Okay. Let's see. Buying or refinancing a home, purchasing a car, etc. How will it affect the FAFSA application award amount? Does FAFSA look at the value of the home or total left on the mortgage? Great questions. No, it doesn't. FAFSA does not drill down that far. It will ask you things like what's your housing cost. So if you're in the middle of refinancing or buying a home, and let's say I'm buying a home and I know my property taxes and my mortgage are going to go up by $1,000. So obviously when they say what's your housing cost, I would put the higher amount because maybe escrow is delayed because of the pandemic and it's taking like a month longer, which is typical than it usually does. Instead of finishing up in 4 or 6 weeks, it's finishing like in 8 to 10 weeks. I would just put the higher amount. The CSS service, college scholarship service, that will drill down. That will drill down to very specifics because those schools like Harvard, Yale, Stanford, Duke, they want to know if they're giving financial aid to a student who is financially needy or the family is in a situation. They want to prove that you're truly needy. And I work in taxes. There's a lot of ways to show that FAFSA does not pick up that you are low income. Let's say I have a business and I buy a building and the federal tax law lets me depreciate it. That's just a fancy word for saying like I could deduct certain expenses in buying the building. So my income shows as a negative. I show it was like, $200,000 loss because I bought this building and I put all this money into it and I get to take all these deductions and I have this loss. And then I could carry that loss forward indefinitely. So every year I never pay an income for the next 10 years because I could just keep using that loss as my loss pot, like my bucket of losses. So FAFSA doesn't pick up on that. And that's why it's really been really hard for some families to say like, hey, they drive this kind of car, they live in this kind of house. How come they got all this financial aid? Why did they qualify for these programs? Because FAFSA does not pick up on that. It shows on your tax return that you have low income or losses. CSS will not. CSS will make you report all, and I did a CSS for my son. They got really nosy. Like I was in grad school, like, are you ever going to graduate? Do you expect to earn money? What's the balance of your checking account? Like, October 1st and July 1st. And I had to give them bank statements. So just be aware if your child goes to one of those schools and wants financial aid, they will get in your business. And if you don't want to do it, that's fine. But then they're like, okay, you don't want to do it, then we're not going to process your financial aid. Does FAFSA have a customer service number? Yes, it does. It has an 800 number and a chat. So I would go through chat first because a lot of people are still working from home. I don't know what the number is. We can find out and post it, but is that it for the questions?
Maybe one question back further up.
Sure,
is
if I missed it, I'm sorry.
Yeah, if the child applies for more than 10 schools, how do they get the information to the other schools?
Thank you for bringing that up. That was one of my things I wanted. So FAFSA lets you do, it's a free application. FAFSA lets you pick 10 schools, and on the FAFSA application, you look for the school based on your state and it'll give you a code. So PSU has a code, Lewis and Clark has a code. All the schools have their little ID number codes. And my recommendation is when you do FAFSA October 1st, October 2nd, whatever, early October, just pick 1 or 2 schools that are your backup schools or schools you would definitely go to if you got in and you didn't get anywhere else. Don't use up all your 10 because you may not know yet. You may not. And so let's say you do want to apply to 10 and definitely these are 10 schools I want to get into. You could use up your allotment of 10 and then you decide later you don't want it. Then you just go back, log in your FAFSA application, go through some steps and drop one and put another one on. So FAFSA needs that code because FAFSA is like, oh, they want to apply this and this in this school. Once the FAFSA application is done, we'll just churn that report and that index number and send it to those schools. So, but in the beginning, I recommend people, my joke is like, pick one school that's your pie in the sky school, like you really want to go to, you may not get in and that's what you really want to go, and pick one school that's your backup school. So just, have 2 of the 10 slots filled in for your FAFSA application. So hopefully that answers the person's questions. And like, even, you're going to apply to like 15 schools, let's say, just maybe start out with like 8 of them or 7 of them for your initial FAFSA application. Hopefully that answers that question.
Okay, I seen one more one more question up here, Mimi. This is Brian again.
Okay.
If a parent applies for FAFSA, does that affect the child? And I think they're saying, does that affect the child's applying for FAFSA at the same time?
Effect meaning, well, you cannot have a complete FAFSA application, unfortunately, without a parent, a legal guardian, a grandparent who's deducted you. And that's really unfortunate. And that's another thing that I'll mention now is, so there was a time when I was going to school and later that people were like, I'm independent. And they were actually kind of wealthy. And then the Wall Street Journal broke a story like maybe 6 months ago where parents get their child, they have the money to pay for lawyers to get their child declared independent by a judge so they could get all this free financial aid and whatnot, but they're not truly independent. In FAFSA, you're not independent till you're 24 years old. So when I worked at PCC Foundation, I was taking accounting prerequisites. It was really unfortunate because we did, as you can imagine, at a community college, we get students who were runaways. We get students who left their family situation because of horrific abuse. We get students living with their relatives or friends of their family or friends of their friends. And their parents were either missing, AWOL, didn't file taxes, or refused to cooperate, or they don't want to be in touch with the parents because the parent is the abuser. Unfortunately, FAFSA requires the parent or some parent to complete the application. So that's where the student has to do as much as they can for the FAFSA and then put the information they know about their parent and then have to contact the school they want to get into and kind of circumvent and go around the system there. But then that's the downside of that. That means that you can't complete it early and you got to know which school you want to go to. And maybe the school hasn't told you an answer yet where you get in. So there unfortunately has not been a way around that except for those kind of steps. And one of the things that's great about Bridge2Success and the portfolio project and other things is we have names and contacts of people who work in financial aid in different colleges, university. And so maybe that's not the school you want to, but I bet those people would be happy to answer and drill down and help you with that situation and how to get around. Get around is not the right word. How to get to where you need to where you could have your FAFSA accepted and considered without not having that parent guardian component. Does that make sense?
I think on the question, and I might be wrong, so the person can let me know if I'm wrong, if I'm misinterpreting. But I'm saying that the parent is applying for FAFSA for themselves, and the child is also. And I think
Oh, yeah.
Does that affect the ability of that processing? That's what I'm reading the question as, but I'm not sure if I'm getting that right.
Well, I'll answer that question because that was my situation. I was applying to grad school. I wanted financial aid and scholarships, and my son was applying to college. And no, it didn't affect in the sense that I got my own expected family contribution myself. And I put that, that was the year I deducted my son. So I legally said I am a household of two, me and my son for that year. And then I got my award letter and EFC and my scholarships and student loans. And then my son got his award letter. So it only affects in the sense that it shows that this is why I didn't have high income or any really much income working part-time in school, doing my prerequisites. And I just switched from criminal investigation into finances because I was in a really, really bad car accident. And I just decided I'm gonna take some time and recover and try something different because I had a great ride in criminal investigation. I want to try something different. So I got my own award letter. My son got his own award letter. So and then I was able to say like, hi, I am supporting my son for that year. He's on my tax return and my expenses are going to be higher because I'm paying for tuition and books. So it helped me that way. And I hopefully answer the question to that parent. If not, you can raise your hand or ask again. I guess for the parent, like make sure your FAFSA is done early too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
She said yes, and thank you.
Okay.
Another question, you may have already addressed this. What types of colleges require the CSS forms?
The CSS, it's thankfully that list is getting smaller over the years. It used to be basically all the private schools, and now it's pretty much the elite's probably not the right word to say because that then puts down other colleges. I'll just classify the Ivy League schools and some of the other expensive, harder to get in schools like Stanford and Duke. There's a few other ones. I was surprised when my son applied to a bunch of colleges. They didn't want CSS, even private schools. Some colleges, just so you know, want both. They want the FAFSA and they want the CSS. But it's generally, I don't think there's any public universities or community colleges or vocational schools that want CSS. So just so people know that CSS asks for so much information that basically means someone's got to process it. So what CSS does is just like, boom, put it in a packet, put all the information, send it to the school. So someone at the school has to drill down and understand what's all that information and do it. So can you imagine, like, when I went to Berkeley, there's like 30,000 kids, and let's say 20,000 of them are asking for FAFSA and scholarships and whatnot. You got to hire a whole team to drill down and do that. That's why schools are like, no, we're just going to let the federal government, process that and deal with that. And we have a financial aid counselor department to deal with like specific questions or specific situations. When is a CSS deadline? I think it is later than FAFSA, but I could look that up and get back to you, Brian. The problem with CSS is like, like I said, I did it for my son at a couple of universities. Is like, then they keep asking you questions like, send us your bank statement, send us your mortgage statement, so that way you prove that you have these expenses you said and your income and your balance for your bank account, your 401k, your IRA, your CDs is really what you said it is. And so getting back to, I think it was Jorge that asked a question about foreign assets. FAFSA won't ask you for everything foreign. It'll ask you for some. CSS will ask for all of that. But I'm going to drill down more on that on the foreign stuff because I should know this. And I'm sorry I don't know more information about that, but I want to learn too. So I will find out and it'll help me learn more, and I help my tax clients too. You addressed the matter of 10 colleges. Can you apply more? Okay, so FAFSA online allows you to pick 10 schools, and that's it. That's all the system handles. So you have to go back in, drop off a school, and then put a new school in. So there's a couple ways to do it. Let's say the student decides they don't want to go to school, definitely don't want to go to school. There's no way I'm going to go. I changed my mind. And then you could go back, log in a FAFSA, drop that one school and put a new school in. Or let's say it's like January 1st or January 10th, and that one school has the FAFSA application, it's all done. Then I've heard, I don't know it's for sure because I can't confirm it because I don't work at FAFSA. I heard that, let's say it's like early January and all your 10 schools have your FAFSA application, the index number and all that stuff. Then I heard that you could drop some schools and add more, but the other schools already have, the other 10 already have that information. Does that make sense? So that way, I heard that was one way to get more schools to get your FAFSA information because it's already churned out. You don't want to take off a school that the student wants to go to. So just wait till that school has information and your FAFSA is complete. So that's usually, I think, after the new year where they start, universities and colleges start processing that. And then just know if people aren't applying online, there is a paper form. It's very tedious. You do a PDF online or print it out, and then you mail it in, and you only can list 4 schools if you do it by paper. So I encourage people not to do it by paper, not to have your parent do it by paper, but if absolutely necessary for a reason, maybe they're in an area where there's no Wi-Fi or technology. And then very important to mention, please don't do it on your phone. There's some things that are just really hard to answer on your phone. They say you can with an app. I would just use the app to double check to see if FAFSA is emailing you, asking questions or something's incomplete. Another thing is like, you're putting your social security number and it's attached to your parents or guardian social security number. You don't want that like in a public situation where you don't know who's, what hackers like pulling that information out. I would go to a secure place. And that's one of the reasons we're encouraging people to participate at the Jefferson High School FAFSA. And Jefferson High School, my understanding is making their computers available for parents. The public library has a computer system that's pretty strong security too. But, I have a Chrome laptop. I don't go to like Starbucks and get free Wi-Fi. I'm on your Chrome laptop. Please use a more secure internet server. Let's see, anything else? Am I missing anything else? Oh, Thank you, Paul, for putting that link for CSS. Any other questions? And I'm looking more at the foreign asset question and the I-10 question.
Yeah, I think that's all of them. If you still have a question, we still have a minute or two.
Oh,
to
I'm happy to hang out. I mean,
oh yeah, and you can always ask in the chat window.
okay. So do I have a few minutes to talk a little bit about scholarships?
Yeah, I can give you like 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay,
There was another question I just saw popped up before you go there, Mimi, about
Okay.
the FAFSA night at Jefferson in person.
Oh, good question. We'll send out the invite link, and no, it's not in person, it's Zoom. And then my understanding, since a lot of parents and families come on, Nicole from the career counselor said we'll go into breakout sessions, and then we can break out in that way, the smaller sessions. And if any mentors would like to help out, that would be great.
Yes.
And then some of the more specific questions can be answered, or just helping with actually opening up and doing the application process. And I should get some of the information ready for that, about some of the questions you guys raised, specifically about the foreign assets and then the long surname and things like that. The only thing I will say, now just about a minute or two left on regarding scholarships. A lot of scholarships, even though it's just what they call merit-based, meaning your academics, your volunteering and whatnot, they still will want the FAFSA. So it just, proves that you have the social security number. It proves this, it's your birth date. It's just easier for these foundations and just to have that information, knowing that process is there, because a lot of these foundations, they're private nonprofit foundations, and they can't do things that are technically illegal, and the IRS law eyes on the one things they cannot give aid to people who are not confirmed to be legal residents, permanent residents, or people with social security numbers in this country, unfortunately. So that's why you'll see why does such and such foundation need my FAFSA when I'm just applying because I have great grades or great volunteer service. It's because of those kind of federal laws in place. Oh, and answer all your questions for the scholarship committee. If they want more information, don't miss those deadlines.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Thank you, Wade. Poor Wade, he's heard this so many times. It's a lot of information. Feel free to email any of us. It might take me 24 hours or so to respond, but I hope to see a lot of you on October 1st. And even if you just come on for an hour or half an hour, sign on letter, please do that, because I know Jefferson High School counselors and stuff, they will have answers that I don't know, and I'm open to learning too. So it's all the process, and just remember, don't be a statistics, don't be part of summer melt. And we're all here to get you over this hurdle.
Agreed. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ms. Mimi. And I sent you a private message because I still need your mailing address so that we can.
Oh, I put it really small.
Hmm?
I put it right here, my little PO box.
Oh, I didn't even see that. Okay.
I know, so innocuous.
Well, I will add. Let me see. Oh, actually, I can probably put that in right now. If I can get this thing to,
So it's kind of funny because like parents will still email me, hey, this question. So I just try to answer the best I can. And and I really encourage parents to, I checked all these links, they do work. It still works to take the art. I even changed a couple of things, but on Google search, if you want to hear more about summer melt, I would do it in different states. And I know with Miss Debbie, Paul, Yvette, Brian, and Angie, we were trying to get something going to help Oregon, because summer melt is such a horrific problem. It's easy to overcome this. But I also encourage students and parents to look at this. The cost of college is super expensive. And the question then comes down to, and then just I could have one more minute, is a lot of our students, especially from modern income families, are really recruited hard at certain colleges, especially the private colleges, which is great. That gives you an opportunity. But just beware. Let's say a school is $50,000 a year tuition. I'm just rounding up numbers. And let's say living expenses is $20,000 a year. So it's $70,000 a year to go to school, times 4 years is $280,000. More than $250,000. So the university or college would be like, hey, we love to come here. We'll fly you out, take the school, kind of wine and dine you, not wine, but trying to woo you. And then they're like, we'll give you $20,000 a year scholarship. Great. Or let's say they give you $25,000 a year scholarship. So in 4 years, you get $100,000. Like, this is great. but then they give you all these loans. And some of those loans will be higher interest, pretty high, because federal law only allows the federal government student loan, federally backed student loans. I think the maximum per year is 8 or 10,000. And so the higher interest loan, so last thing I could say is like just remember, for every $10,000 you borrow, approximately, the interest rate is lower, so it's great. For every $10,000 you borrow, you're gonna be paying about $200 a month in student loan payments. So if I'm borrowing $100,000, that's $2,000 a month student loan payment I'm making. That's after taxes. So you gotta be making like 3,000 or 4,000 to make the $2,000 payment. So just remember the rule of thumb, every $10,000 student loan I make, I'm gonna be paying $200. And for parents, your interest rate is gonna be higher through the university, even private schools. So your payment might be $2,300 a month if you're borrowing $100,000. So that's why it's really important to look about the high cost of college, and is it really worth it to get that much in debt to go to private school? That's something you just need to be aware of and make that decision yourself. But I just want people to be aware and have informed consent before they step into that situation. Okay, I think that I'm done. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I thank you so
Yeah,
much.
I don't want people coming out with like I've seen students come out with $150,000, $180,000 student loans, and
Right.
it's crushing. It's crushing debt.
Yeah, myself included, unfortunately.
Yeah. Sorry, Paul.
I know. I'm still paying. I graduated from graduate school in 2006, and I'm still making payments. It's not fun.
Yeah.
Limits a lot of fun things that I could otherwise spend that money on, like more bowling balls or something. Yes, it can be forever that way. You are so accurate, and not a fun thing if we can definitely avoid it. And Mimi, I did not get your zip code before you changed slides.
Sorry. It's
Oh, no worries, no worries.
97208.
There we go. All right. So I will take over sharing here.
Okay.
Maybe.
For me, stop sharing. Okay, there. Clicked on.
All right. Okay, so let me know when you can see my screen.
Can see your screen.
Awesome. All right, so per usual, don't forget to send out your thank you cards to Miss Mimi. Trust me, when you guys make $100,000 or $200,000 or $300,000 in scholarships, you will definitely want to send that. Make sure she has that thank you card. As Miss Debbie said, the stamps are already on your envelopes, so you don't even have to worry about the price of postage. And make sure you send it sometime before the next session. And I'll always include a personalized message of thanks when you're sending the thank you card, so that they definitely can have an idea of what you appreciate. And then also,
and may I just quickly interject? If you want questions answered or anything, include your cell phone number and your new email address, your new professional sounding email address, because that way I could email you information. So thank you cards I'm gonna get, I'm gonna put in, be a nerd, I'm gonna put in an Excel sheet, and that way I could use it. And so people ask me questions, I'd be like, oh, okay, that email address belongs to so-and-so, and then you could stay in touch.
right, definitely. All right, so thank you again, Mimi, appreciate it. All right, so moving on to our next stage, we're going to take a really brief look because I know we don't have a whole lot of time left. Oh, I don't see myself, so I don't know. Okay, here we go. Oh, the book is not showing up. There we go. Our Path to Success books. We are going to pop over to page 101. And at the top, it says FAFSA and Student Aid Report. And so I pulled this really awesome quote. Maybe some of you have heard it before, maybe not. For me, education has never been simply a policy issue, it's personal. Neither of my parents and hardly anyone in the neighborhood where I grew up went to college. But thanks to a lot of hard work because scholarship applying is hard work. It really is. And plenty of financial aid. I had the opportunity to attend some of the finest universities in this country. Any guesses on who said that? No guesses. All right, fine.
Can I? Oh, okay, never mind.
Michelle Obama. So she went to college on financial aid, and she became the vice president or the president of the United States first lady. So uh, getting financial aid is important for everyone, and it's one of those things that makes college possible for everyone. So definitely prioritize your FAFSA and also getting your student aid report. Okay, do not become a statistic of summer melt. So some of the key takeaways, it is FAFSA, not FAFSA. I mess this up all the time, but to help yourself remember, free application for federal student aid. And then always apply. Each year of college, regardless of financial need, excuse me. So whether you feel like you need financial aid or not, you should renew your FAFSA application each year. And then make sure, like Ms. Mimi said, you create an email account, for example, Gmail, Yahoo, or Outlook, that is for scholarship applications and college applications only. So you go to one place, one account to check on stuff that is relative to your college application and your scholarship application process. And that way, nothing gets lost in your typical email account. The other reason is, especially for seniors, as soon as you graduate from high school, your school system is going to cut off your school email account. So any of that information that's in your school email account that's related to colleges and scholarship applications, that goes away, right? I had a personal situation with that. My son just graduated from high school this past year in 2020, and some of his scholarship information was in his school account. That's gone. So he basically had to contact the scholarships and things so that he could get that information back again. And that was, again, a long, painful, tedious process.
And can I just interject, parents, I recommend you do the same. So that way it's not your email account that's attached to your Facebook, social media, shopping, just do one account that that's just going to deal with your students' financial aid and application and everything. And that way you just know to check that one.
Yep, good point. And make sure you check that email account regularly, right? I know email seems so old-fashioned, so old school. Everybody is into texting and TikToking and Instagramming and all that fun stuff, but we old people use email, and some of us still use snail mail. So you got to make sure you check that. As I said, do not use school email address. If you can avoid it, please do so. Like I said, that email address goes away as soon as you graduate. Also, obtain your parent or guardian's financial information, which will be needed at some point. So that puts you in the queue for the best financial aid opportunities, right? And there are more resources at www.studentaid.edu.gov. We also had some other websites in the chat that you guys can utilize to get information about financial aid. Take advantage of your resources. I always have to tell my kids, while your cell phone is a great entertainment device, it is also one of the best resources for information that I have seen in my lifetime. So take advantage of that. You know, you can watch the fun YouTube cat videos every once in a while, but also use it as a tool to learn more. All right, so next steps, we're gonna have to do this real quickly. So the FAFSA party, Friday, October 1st with Jefferson High School. More information will be coming about that earlier this coming week. So be checking your email for that. I also wanted to go through mentor assignments and take a look at that real quick. Also wanted to give you guys an idea of where the Bridge Award leaders are and review the points breakdown and how you get points. And then your assignment for next session is actually a very, very easy one. And so what I want you to do is send an email from your college application specific / professional email address with a screenshot of your FAFSA complete confirmation page to Miss Yvette at B2S programinfo@gmail.com. Okay, so that is your assignment. Like I said, in our books, there is a lot more information about FAFSA. One of the most interesting things I saw was that in 2018, a total of 120 billion, that's billion with a B, in student aid was provided by the United States Department of Education. $120 billion. I don't see thumbs. Did everybody go to sleep? Am I frozen? See a couple of thumbs. There's a thumb. More thumbs. Awesome. All right. So, okay. Also, last week there were some SAT test prep resources that Brian gave. I will put this in the PowerPoint and send this out to you actually right after session. And then, can I get a drum roll? All right, Bridge Awards. Right now, in the first place, we have Joseph. In second, Olivia. Third, Kaya. Fourth, Rebecca. And rounding out the top 5, Zaya. Congratulations so far. You guys are in the top 5. And that, of course, comes from making sure that you get all of these awards points each week, right? You get points for attendance, whether your parent also get bonus points if your parent or guardian attends. If you attend early, I can literally pull a report and see what time you signed on. So I know who signs on first. And then uniform of the day you get points for. So Miss Yvette is looking at your video feed and seeing who has on their t-shirt and the name badge. So remember, it's not just one, you have to have both. If you don't have both, you don't get half. Ah, way to go, Alex. Alex is all geared up today. I love it. Also, now that you do have mentor, or now that you will have a mentor, we're going to have those contacts, at least 2 per week, right? We'll get you 10 points. When your assignments are turned in, you get 10 points. If your assignment is turned in before next Saturday, not before next session, but before next Saturday while we are out, you get the bonus 5 points. Also, if your camera is on during session, you get 10 points. If you ask questions during session, you get 5 points. And my wonderful people that gave me high fives and comments, and that was lit on social media, I appreciate it. And you get 5 points for those. So make sure that you guys are chiming in on our social media. If you're not following yet, get the following. Those are easy points that you could get. I see Kev has a hand raised.
Yeah, I was wondering for the FAFSA, is it just me or does it include my parents?
For FAFSA, yes, they will want your information as well as parent or guardian information.
Oh, but from the assignment, is it just mine or my parents?
Oh, for the assignment, I just want yours.
Okay.
And it's just the confirmation page. Okay, I don't need to see personal important information on the picture. So just the confirmation page says you have completed the FAFSA application.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
All right. Who is my mentor? I'm getting there. Give me a second. Before I do, wait, what time is it? I don't see my clock. Ooh, we got 2 minutes. So, Miss Debbie, do you want to do steps first?
I'll do the steps at the end.
Okay. All right. All right. So what we did is we
You're breaking up really bad.
oh really? Can you hear me
Yeah,
now?
really, really bad.
Uh-oh. Am I still breaking up or am I better?
It's a little better.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Still breaking up.
I'm wondering if everyone's muted, because that can help sometimes too. If you guys go to the top right corner of your screen, you just hit the mute button. That sometimes can help.
Can't hear you, Paul.
Can't hear you.
Hey, Paul, you might want to maybe stop your video so that way just the audio can use up the bandwidth.
Maybe some students can hear me. This is Mimi. I've been mentoring for some years. So students, when they say contact your mentor, it can be text, a call, email, and none of us want to hear the excuse you don't have time, because we know you're on your phone, TikToking, all that stuff, snapping. You have time to contact your mentor. And it doesn't have to be a long thing. It's just a brief thing like, hey, I'm really busy in school. I'm kind of stressed out. Or, hey, I'm having a great week. I'm joining my friends. It could be something like that kind of touch base. We don't have to get in a long conversation, but you have time to contact your mentor.
There was a really good question. I hope Paul can come back regarding that juniors did not have to do the FAFSA. And I know that's part of the homework. So I would say until Paul gets on there, at least create a new Gmail account. So we know that you're a junior and you won't be able to, we're not expecting to do the FAFSA, but you have to set up your new Gmail account, and then you will still get your full points for the homework because you are a junior. Does that make
And
sense?
also, why don't we also have them give us their top 10 colleges?
Okay, I like that idea.
It's crazy as I can hear you guys, but
There you go. We can
oh,
hear
you
you
got me
now.
now?
you.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, I have no idea what was wrong. All right,
Mm.
well, can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
So so if you look across, so the way we set it up is we have the mentor's full name, and then we also have the student assigned to those mentors. So Brian Post has Alex and Joseph. Wade has Olivia, Zach, and am I pronouncing this right? Chenoa? All right, Chenoa. All right, cool. And Mimi is a part-time mentor, so she's helping Wade out. So if Wade isn't available or not able to contact, Mimi can help out with those students. My students are Ricardo and Julian. Shola has Courtney and Jorge, and then Shatori has Jalen, Kaya, and Gia. So Gia, definitely reach out to Shatori. Madeline has Daki, Dakai, or Daki? Which one? I said both.
The Kai.
Dakai. Okay. All right. And then Rama and Alante. Sadie has Corte and Zaya. Byron has Bennett and Lucas. Alfred and Brian are double team tag teaming with Damani, Preston, and Andre. Kevin, who is traveling this week, has Ellis, Garit, and Kevin. And then Renee and Christine are helping each other with Xavier and Rebecca. All right. So make sure that you guys get in touch with your mentors. I will send this list out and it will have each of your email contact information on it when I send it out so that you can make those contacts this week. I believe that is all I had. I'm sorry we are 3 minutes past, but I really wanted you to get every bit of information out of Mimi that you possibly could. So I apologize for taking us over. And with that, I will hand it over to Miss Debbie.
Okay, students, I'm not going to take too much since we're over, but it's tradition with the organization that we do steps into your future. My whole thing that no one is perfect and you will make mistakes along the way, but we do not look back, we look forward. It is your progress going through this program. And in life in general, you will make mistakes, but don't look back on your mistakes because sometimes you can learn from that. And as long as you don't continue to do those mistakes. So having said that, I want you to stay patient and trust into your journey. So everyone, please stand up. No, I'm not going to be able to see you, but I want everybody to stand up. All the students stand up. This normally and parents stand up too. Normally what we do is we walk out in the hall and everybody's lined up. And so what I would tell you is don't look back, go forward. And then on 3, we take the number of steps that we've completed so far. So right now we've completed 2 sessions and we have to say it all together. We keep standing and say it together until we all say it together, and you have to mean it from your heart because we're going to take as many steps as we do as we complete. Okay. So students, parents, we do not look back, we go forward. On 3, we're going to take 2 steps and we're going to count them out together. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. And again, like, you know, like the thing said, there's going to be haters, but you guys let people hate because when you're doing good, people hate. And all this is about being positive and keep your eye on the prize. And I'm going to keep reminding you of that. I am so proud of all of you participating in this and giving up your little hour and a half to be a part of the program and keep hope alive. Oh, I'll turn it over to you.
Awesome. Great job, everyone. Excellent week this week. I hope you learned a lot of information about the FAFSA and financial aid applying. Like I said, all of this information will come out to you real soon. And oh my gosh, I can hear my echo. It sounds so terrible. Sorry. But yeah, I'll get it all out to you and we'll have the link sent out to you also for the Jefferson FAFSA night too. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Have a good day.
Excellent week.
Bye.
Admin, please stay behind. Admin staff, please stay behind for a few minutes.
Thank you for speaking. Have a good day.
All right.
You too.
Also,
Bye-bye.
thank you, mentors.
See you later.
Thank you, mentors. Also,
And parents.
And parents. Yes.
Yes.
Totally.
Yes.
Thank you, parents.
I have a question.
Sure.
Where do I like submit the homework?
You're submitting your homework to, oh, I'm not sharing anymore, but you're sending it to B2S info program info at gmail.com.
Oh, I'm just emailing it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. That's all I had.
Oh, you're great. That's fine. How would that visit go, man?
Oh, it was good. It was. I liked it down there. I could. I don't know if I would go there, but I like it.
At least you went.
At least
Yeah,
you
at least I
visited.
went.
At least you visited. That's
Yeah, it was
cool.
fun.
That's
I didn't
cool.
see Miles though, but yeah.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
All right,
No
thank
worries.
you. It was good.
Thank you.
See you later.
All right. Take care.
Bye, you guys.
All right, bye.
Okay, we,
Mr. B, would you like me to stay on or not? I'm happy to do either.
we don't, I always need you, Mimi, but you don't have to stay on here if you got something to do. This is gonna be a quick question
Oh,
on
no.
the admin staff.
I'll stay on just to listen.
Okay, all right, do we have?
Excuse me.
Yep. Hey, Rama.
I have a question.
Sure.
I never got the shirt or name tag or whatever thing.
It was
You
not
said what?
delivered. Did you receive the box?
There was a box, but it didn't have a shirt or a name tag in it. And some dude had emailed me about a binder, and I said I didn't have that either, but never back.
Oh.
Okay, so so did you in the so you never received your binder, because in your binder was your name tag and your lunch tickets?
It was
Yeah,
in your
there was no
backpack.
binder either. Oh, inside the backpack.
Yes.
But then
Yes.
I never looked inside of it.
Oh,
Okay, oh, okay.
the shirt
Check
wasn't in the
inside the
backpack, though,
backpack.
just the binder.
Open your backpack.
Okay, thank you.
Wait, no. Open the backpack.
Open the backpack and the binder.
We want to make sure you have everything you're supposed to
Yes,
have.
that has your workbook in it and everything.
And your gift cards.
Okay, 1 second.
Oh, we gonna wait.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm
Hey,
not
hey,
sure who
Paul.
Mark McIntosh is.
Who was that?
I don't know.
That's Joseph. That's Joseph's
That's
dad.
Joseph's dad.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay, we gotta.
He was sending something to me, so that's why he's still on there. Probably.
oh, okay.
Paul, I have a quick question. So,
Sure, Brian.
is there a master list of the contact information for mentors and students?
There
One of
is.
my guys, he direct messaged me his information. I didn't get the other one yet. So, is there?
Oh, I will include the contact information on the mentor student pairing list.
Awesome. Okay.
Yep.
Thanks a lot. All right. Take care, you guys.
See you
Okay, sure.
later.
Take care.
Bye, and Nico.
Okay,
All right. Did you find everything?
I'm
Did you
looking
find
right now.
everything? All right.
Your name tag will be in the pencil pouch, the first zipper.
Tag. Shirt. Hidden.
Where did my binder go? I think one of my kids took my binder.
They knew it was in there.
I know, right?
Just quickly, I'm gonna try FAFSA 10 p.m. My time. So by the time we do the Jefferson workshop at 6 p.m. that Friday the 1st, hopefully I've gotten through it and can answer the questions. I'll be looking up some of the answers, some of the questions asked in the workshop today too. And then if any of the other mentors out there would like to participate in a breakout session, I know Jefferson High School counselor would welcome your assistance, even though you may not be super familiar with FAFSA. It's just helping some of the students and families. Just a lot of times it's just navigating how to get on the website and things like that.
Yep.
So do you think,
Are they good? Because it's like they're muted. So Paul, you can probably get
I
rid
don't
of.
know. Rama, did you find everything?
I said I didn't see no shirt in there.
Oh, no, the shirt wouldn't be in your backpack,
It would be in your
but
box.
but the binder and the lunch card should be in your backpack
And your name tag.
and your name tag.
Okay, so you said the name tag, the gift cards are inside the binder, backpack, and the shirts in the box.
Right.
Yeah.
So did you receive?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I think it's all there.
Oh, good. Okay.
Okay.
But you just need your shirt though.
Yeah.
All right. So we will see how we can get your shirt delivered to you before next session.
Okay.
All right.
See you
You
later.
can just take it up to Jeff.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
You're
All right.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have,
Have a good
one.
night.
Okay. That's interesting on that. Okay. Okay, so real quick, because I know everybody's got to go.